What is up, everybody? It is your ever-loving Uncle Fish back again for the School of...
Look, I'm trying my best to get out of this, and I know it ain't looking pretty.
Just trust me, I know I'll probably rewatching all these live streams again.
And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to bring you on, too, as co-host, is because you use an iPad and I use the PC. And so far, little Kyron Silva from California is the only person that's found it yet. Lots of people have found, if you don't get the mini comics, you still get to enjoy the book. It's still awesome. But if you like getting the extra juicy bits, you want to get the mini comics.
The juicy bits now. Now, hold up. Listen, my birthday was literally just yesterday. Now I got to get myself a birthday gift for me. I got to get the DeLorean. By the way, he stated that he does not like you. If anything, to quote him.
Oh, yeah. I totally sympathize with him hating it. Perfectly normal response.
Sir, you're giving me dangerous ideas right now. You're giving me very, very dangerous ideas.
Everybody, it is School of Fish back again. We've got your weird Uncle E back. We've got your Uncle Fish here. How you doing, Esteban? How you doing, man?
Ayo, and hello, everybody, and welcome to the School of Fish, or I should say the Ultra School of Fish. Ultra Comics. Go Fish, Mr. Comics. I mean, hey, it all works out. I'm having a blast. Just got my entire shift done at work, and I'm just excited for today's video, especially because this is going to be a little bit more of a very exciting one. Very intriguing, if you will. If you couldn't tell from what my screen over here on the bottom of me is.
Oh, yeah, I've been looking forward to this, baby. I've been looking forward to this because this is something I've always enjoyed doing. I've liked doing it on my TikTok channel. I've liked doing it all over the place. I like coming up with random list of powers and then just see what I come up with. It was one of my funnest things to do in my role-playing games all these years I love rolling up random stuff and then trying to make that work together, trying to figure out how to make a cohesive idea out of you can generate butterflies and you have spikes on your elbows. Like, how do you make that make sense together? That's fun.
Exactly.
To me. I enjoy it.
No, and that's 100% really fun thing. Also, Legacy Loser over here, aka my good friend Mika. Hi, how you doing? How's it going? I'm so excited you're here. I'm doing okay. Thank you so much for popping on into the live stream. This is just going to be a lot of fun. And also, this is a bit of a seeing how we're also utilizing dice to dictate the character designs and whatnot. This actually kind of got me talking. My friend group essentially is like they're all dispersing northern into the realms of Florida and whatnot. So one of my good friends who's actually just getting into the chat here, Lexi C right over here. Hey, how you doing? Can't wait to see where the rest of this video goes. Yes, hi, I'm here. How you doing? I know they just love to sporadically state my name.
Hey, it's good to have friends, man. It's good to have
friends. Good to have friends, especially the friends that have been playing Dungeons and Dragons with you since 2019 when the pandemic was hitting hard. Like 2019, 2020, pandemic hit hard. And I actually remembered running my very first like official game, which was a game called Pirates of Sweet Tooth Island. And surprisingly enough, that was inspired by Dimension 20, which is a college humor adjacent thing. And then what's it called? They ended up having their season called Crown of Candy. And I was like, oh, I gotta turn this into something. And I basically made a whole Pirates of the Caribbean meets Candyland and turns into the sporadic, intensive adventure. And then we ended up doing a different high school game. And now my friends want me to run this like hybrid game that took the high school characters from this high school game and then put them into the freaking fantasy Candyland. And now it's just going to be this whole sporadic thing. I call it the cavity corruption of Sweet Tooth. So it's going to be crazy. Just kind of wanted to mention that because I think it'd be fun.
Oh, man.
But speaking of fun things and dice rolling, what are we going to be doing for today, Mr. Fish? What's the situation? What's happening?
Well, my buddy Esteban here has been working up a new thing for his channel for rolling up a new character and stuff. And he's been coming up with lists and stuff that he can roll on to come up with cool ideas for characters. And he rolled up a set of powers the other day and gave me the power so that we could both come up with a design for that and see what we come up with. Show him what you came up with, man.
Okay, so for some context, I ended up rolling a character who was sci-fi based and happened to be born with their powers, which was actually magically enhanced. Their personality trait was the fact that they kept snacking a lot. And What else was there? It was the fact that their weakness was revolved around their health. So, because I can speak English. Thanks to my fiance who loves to make me not speak English.
Hi,
They do
fiance.
that to you whenever she's here. But what's it called? Yes, you'll get your isekai D&D campaign eventually, because that's exactly what it is. But basically, it's a character who health is like part of their weakness. So if they're healthy, they're going to be okay. But if they're, like sick, then their powers are going to be a little bit defective. And a strange aspect of their powers is that it tends to like have some strange sporadic type of situation. Again, it's very magic based. Now, from that situation, I ended up taking those descriptions and I kind of created a character like this. If you could tell, right down over here, I took a lot of inspiration from actually the following things here. Let me actually do this where I can, there. Okay, hold on. Please stand by. I'm functioning as an adult, as we all are. Anyways, so these were weirdly enough my inspirations when it comes out to designing the costume. Because again, he was wearing, and the design for him was wearing like a tactical suit. So a part of me ended up looking up some different inspirations from Kamen Rider, Doctor Doom, Lex Luthor, Gundam, which is really main inspiration of it, and another character called Tech Jacket, who's in the Invincible universe. So I tried taking as many of the elements as I can and trying to like put them all together and make them into one, eventually creating this character that you see over here that I call Radiant Knight. Essentially, he's like a wild magic sorcerer who wears this tactical armored like gear, who wields magic in a weird way. Again, I tried using the Doctor Doom aesthetic with the like part of the mask, a little bit more with the cape, because when I think magic, I think wizards, and wizards wear capes, and capes are not functional, but they're cool, or they're only functional in the setting.
They are cool, though. You gotta admit they're cool.
They are cool. And I mean, not only that, I also had to come up with the cover. Where are you at? There you are. So this is also the cover for if I turn it into a full-blown like comic book cover, showing off his magical abilities and showing how like there's the cosmic radiant magic flowing in his body and whatnot. So that's more or less my inspiration from this. Hey, how you doing there, buddy? Glad. Hey, we're trying our best over here. We're just actually getting into some fun stuff. From bowling. Okay.
Just
bowling for soup. Anyways, so this is my rendition of the character, and Mr. Fish actually took the exact same situation, the same description, but has a
I went a different direction.
100% of a different direction. It's amazing.
And see, that's why I didn't want to see your drawing before I came up with something, because I wanted just the prompt so I can work straight from that and get my own ideas off of it and not be like, oh man, that's cool. How can I do a cool version of that? So I started thinking about the prompt, and it's tech based and it's magic based, and there was so much coming at it from so many different angles. But the thing that really stood out to me was the eating all of the time, and his health having to do with how his powers manifested, and if he gets sick and stuff, like it doesn't come out as well. And I started thinking through that, and thinking through like I started thinking like, what are some characters that eat a lot? And like, other than like the Blob, or like I have one character that eats everything's really gross. I thought about the Flash and how much he has to eat to be able to, keep up his metabolism and stuff. And that got my imagination going. And I started thinking, what if you had a character that like the more he ate, the more he could convert that into power to be muscle or speed or whatever, depending on the type of stuff he eats. But if you're eating stuff that's not so good or not so healthy, or like, if you're trying to eat a whole bunch of hot dogs real quick, maybe it has some side effects and doesn't give you just all pure muscle and stuff. So I came up with this character Feast, and he has this tech suit that has this like carbon fiber nano weave suit that can stretch until it's almost invisible on him, to accommodate how his body grows and stretches the more he eats. But like if he eats a whole lot of like proteins and carbs and things, and he can build big muscle. Or if he downs a whole bunch of energy drinks, he can like get super fast, and his reflexes start to go crazy fast. Or if he eats stuff that's bad for him, he can get all like, fat and disgusting, and all kinds of side effects. I started wondering, like, what if you eat too much chicken? Like, are you going to start sprouting feathers and, claws and a beak or something?
Literally becoming what you eat.
And in the process of doing that, I was like,
If
well,
anything, show
if
you
he's
can show
gonna
more
be
of your
able,
screen,
yeah, I was, all right,
just because
let's see, switch
yeah. So this is my
there, let's
design,
switch here,
but then there you go.
and
So
then
just so that
here's
people can get a
mine.
better visual of your stuff.
Yeah, and so he I I had to think about his suit, and I was like, well, if it's got to grow around this body that's going to expand crazy fast, then it's got to be in segments and stuff that can spread out. And then came the idea of having like the mesh suit underneath it, like a spandex that could grow. It could still be durable, but it would grow and let it stretch out around all the grotesqueness that body horror I wanted to stick in there. And and then the plates come into place, and then I was like, well, he's got to have like an open jaw to be able to shovel food in, to be able to grow. And then I made his helmet in plates so that it can stretch as his head gets bigger and stuff. And it was really a gross idea to start with, and I really kind of dig the way it came out. Like I
I mean,
really,
honestly, and like looking at it, it just looks like a potential like 1980s or like a Ninja Turtles type of villain almost. He's like,
oh
this
yeah,
is
he
finished.
absolutely looks like somebody that would like eat garbage and turn into a monster or something. And like I just, he's got my imagination going now. He's got my imagination spinning, and
Make him a Green
wondering,
Zone villain. There you go.
yeah, what could we come up with next? That's what I'm wondering. And there's always something else cool right around the corner that we can come
Huh.
up with, because there's no end to the prompts. There's no end to what we could roll up. There's no
And it's
end.
and
Go
no,
ahead.
you're not wrong. Sorry for interrupting. I didn't mean to
Oh
do that
no.
to you. But kind of similar to like Lego of all things. I totally, made my own little Lego dice tower over here. But funnily enough, just like Lego, there's actually like an infinite potential possibilities with simply like utilizing 4 or so bricks. Like I think it was if it was like 4 2x4 bricks, there is an infinite possibility or like borderline an infinite possibility of connecting those bricks in a very unique way. And not in like every way is like a technical like original style to it, and even if you were to have like a prompt of 10 different things, right? Like say if you had one prompt of like, oh, like here's 10 different personality traits, here's 10 different superpowers, here's 10 different drawbacks. Imagine rolling just those things every single time. It's always going to vary. The
Mhm.
possibility of that happening is again like a 1 in 10 chance, but it's like it shows that there's an infinite possibility. But also to kind of make this a bit educational, because we are totally professionals in the realms of education, uh, I think it would be interesting to see how, in some cases, as an artist, and I mean, Mr. Fish, you yourself, you tend to get tons of clients that especially, give you some very interesting prompts. I can imagine just prompts, not even many visuals. So the fact that words alone
Sometimes it's
have to
weird.
be the only method of description is a very difficult aspect of this. And I mean, just to think of it this way, imagine if somebody came to us with that exact description of these two kind of characters. Like, who are you going to choose? Like, there's two totally separate mindsets when it comes to designing a character overall. Like, Mr. Fish
Mhm.
over here has like a 1980s Ninja Turtle style villain and over here, and I have myself a freaking Gundam wizard over here, So it's like
Yeah.
these are two totally different mindsets. So, in a weird way, this is also to kind of show you how different artists think and like what goes behind the idea of creating a character, taking inspirations from other medias and trying to implement that in a design. And not only that, in some other unique way, especially if you're working for someone who's not really artistically inclined, this would actually kind of help out in like at least talking to the writer, being like, okay, what's the inspiration, what are the visual cues, what do you want to
Mhm.
emulate from this
What
you know
kind of what kind of feeling are you going for? Do you want like a regal space knight type character, or do you want a disgusting body horror monster that comes
exactly.
crawling out of the alley? And then thinking through like, how do the powers work? How does the uniform and the suit have to work around that? Like when I went with the body changing so much, like I had to design a suit that could work around that, where your guy doesn't necessarily, have to expand to accommodate an 800-pound form
Exactly.
all of a sudden.
So I think to make this a bit more of a fun and a very interesting, video, we're going to roll up a character live right now, and we're gonna try our best to not copy each other, and try to create our very own renditions off of what we got. So we're gonna be utilizing my, what's it called? Man, I really do breathe a lot. Jesus Christ, is my Lord and Savior. No, because bro, every time I edit my videos, I
Stupid
have to
respiration, man.
bro, for real. Like, no, I realize how much I breathe in my videos because I go I feel like if I was to trim down all my videos, it'd just me breathing. It'd be like a solid 5 minutes every video.
Oh yeah, that's part of the reason I wanted you on the show, because when it's just me talking to myself, you hear my breathing tics from my Tourette's,
Just
and I will like one of my oldest tics from when I was a kid is holding my breath, and then all of a sudden I'll just gasp for air because I haven't breathed in like a minute, and and it sounds like I'm just too fat to breathe, which isn't the case. It's the Tourette's. It's one of the weird, you know, wonderful
and for me,
things
it is
about
partially
me.
due to health issues. I mean, I'm trying to lose weight, but it doesn't help that I work at a gas station.
Yeah, well, yeah, that doesn't help at all. I gained 100
Yeah.
pounds working at a gas station because free soda all day long.
Oh,
That
yeah, the
was not a
liquid ones
good
get
fit
you.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, outside of that fun little bit and whatnot, we're going to be rolling up a character today. I will be utilizing my dice towers, my list, but of course, this is going to be under, like we're just going to come up with something here today. So today we're using my set of circumstances. So my list that I created, the dice that I'm going to be utilizing. And then the next time when we do this, we're going to be utilizing Mr. Fish's lists, whether if it's, the random generator or from any of his superhero RPG books. We're just going to have at it. And then not only that, but it's going to show you the different mentalities we have when it comes down to designing specific characters. Again, I have a very different way of designing characters compared to Mr. Fish over here. I went the more anime approach when designing, say, this character, Radiant Knight. And he went with a classic, again, because his style just, buddy, your style just reminisces nothing but the 80s, but like in the best way possible. Like reading Caw, the Mighty Crow Magnet, like I'm telling you, it just feels like a violent 80s cartoon that needs to be animated. I'm just saying. So, anyways, we're going to start.
Thought about it.
I thought about it, hey, right? Because I mean, you can technically animate. So we're going to be starting things off by doing. We're going to be rolling a d6 in this situation. Well, I have a d3, so because d3s are weird. So literally, it's a
Because
three-sided die,
you gotta be unique. You gotta do something interesting.
and this
So
one
you got
glows in the dark.
D3.
A d3. Well, you could use a d. And anyone out there who happens to have D&D dice, and you want to follow along, don't be afraid to join in. So for this first segment, you can use a d6. 1 and 2 would be considered fantasy. 3 and 4 would be considered modern, and 5 and 6 would be considered what's it called, sci-fi. Not proud that I use AI for this one. That's don't mind this. I'll adjust that later. So let's start off with let's do a d6 just to really let's just do 3. I got this one on hand, and we rolled a number 1, and therefore we are going to be creating a fantasy-based superhero. So actually, I got to write this down. I actually have this tiny little book. I kind of just keep all my little descriptions on. And once I finish, I put a little smiley face stamp on it because I'm a child. Anyways, so we're going to do fantasy. Bet. All right. And then we have origin story. So we're going to roll a d6 for this one. And we're going to basically roll up the origins of said superhero character. All right. That's going to be number 2. Again, another gifted superhero character or something of that kind of caliber. So a fantasy character who was gifted their abilities, right? And it can be either born with the powers or they inherited it from a parent or a special kind of individual or whatnot. So, also just these descriptions are very much like very generic, and you want that to kind of be the case because that allows room for more creativity. Also, my good friend Lexi over here has stated, I don't know if you can see what's it called? There we go. Styles heavily reminds of the old 90s action cartoons that would be left on TV when I was when she was little. Absolutely love your style. And hey, if you love his style, Lexi, sorry, everything else in between, go buy his books, especially Alice Lost in Wonderland. You are not going to regret it. The art in that book is amazing. Man. The storytelling is fantastic. And that's a free promo from me.
It's a good book. It really is. And you need to get the mini comics if you're going to do it. You can even get a digital tier now that gets the digital mini comics, which has a separate story from when Alice was little and she goes traveling the multiverse with another time traveling kid that has white hair named Buster. And you get to see more of what Wonderland was like when she was little and how it contrasts with the day. It's so interesting. You go check it out. Go MrFish.com.
Yeah, it's just you should totally go buy it. It's a lot of fun, especially Green Zone and all that other kind of he's the fastest pen in indie comics. Y'all got to go get his stuff now. Anyways, quick promo aside, we're now going to do a D8 and we are going to roll for his personality, this character's personality type. Oh, Lexi just said that she saw the Kickstarter and she cannot wait to check out more of it. You should totally go support him. And we
Don't
rolled
do
a 5. Is obsessed with rules and protocols.
Ooh, my kind of guy. I'm just gonna say OCD because
You know what?
that fits with me.
Yeah, because I can totally write. Perfect. All right. So we got obsessed with the rules. All right. So now we have personality type. So if anyone who's following along, don't be afraid to join in. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Now we have a D12. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Good job.
Thank you. I take my belching very seriously. All right. So now we're going to be officially rolling for superpowers. This is usually the make or break, especially when it comes down to weaknesses and buffs and whatnot. So this is going to be very interesting. So superpowers are elemental control. Rather as fire, water, earth, air, Avatar: The Last Airbender style, or it could be anything in between. Who knows? Where's the element? Control. So automatically now, but like hopefully this is like sparking something in your head. So you're seeing like a rule following, fantasy based kind of hero, some kind. And this doesn't have to be a superhero. This could also just be like someone in a fantasy world or something or other, or whatever that case may be. Anyways, up next, we now have the weaknesses. Now, this is usually the make or break for a really unique character, especially when it comes down to like, elemental control. So we're going to roll another D12 and we are going to dictate what kind of superpower this individual is going to have. 7, susceptible to mind control.
Ooh. Trying to think how I was going to write that down. All right. Are there any other ones that we got to do, or is that the end of the list?
Not yet, actually. There's I think one more, 2 or so.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So we have power modifier. So this one is more like what can help amplify, right? So when you design a character that was able to, when we designed, Radiant Knight and Feast, there was actually a buff, and the buff was that the powers have like a random side effect to it, right? Which is one of these numbers over here. We're gonna roll a D10 on this one, and we're gonna figure out what are we gonna get. 2, powers come from a mythical artifact that can be stolen.
I like a good artifact. I love a good artifact because it just gives you so many possibilities in the story. You can lose it, you could break it, it could be stolen, all kinds of things. I love an artifact.
I mean, not only that, it could also play up like a monkey paws type situation. Like there was this one comic in DC called was it Dial H for Hero? And in it, there was this like a telephone dial, because back then there were rotary phones. You had to use the numbers to spin around and whatnot. Because I know what that is, surprisingly enough. I'm old, but not that old. But there was a story where it was, but one of them was like a monkey paw's tail, and they passed it along to different, people, and like the dial affected, said people in a very different way. Some people ended up obtaining secondhand powers. Other people apprehended powers of whatever, so on and so forth. But that's beside the point. So
it's really the core of where Ben 10 came from, because you'd also like every time you would roll it, you would get it would come up with a different character for you. And so like you could just turn into Speedster Dude or Super Giant Hulk Dude or, Super Amazing Man or whatever, or, turns into Chocolate Pudding Dude. And, you didn't know what you were going to get. It was so cool.
And we love Chocolate Pudding Dude. He provides really good snacks. Anyways, and last but not least, the make or break for the design in any way, shape, and form is the super suit. What is it going to be? Right. So now we're going to have to roll another D10. So this time I'm going to use my red ones. If I can find a proper red one. There we go. Got the one right over here. All right. Let's see. Let's see what we got. And we got 2, dark and brooding. Okay. So that is So just to recap everything that
Mm.
we ended up rolling here, we have a fantasy-based hero that was gifted their powers. Because what's it called? Wait, wasn't gifted over here? Hold on a second. Was
Yeah,
gifted,
it
was
was
born
gifted.
with
They're
their
either,
powers.
yeah, born with
Okay,
it, inherited it. They're a rule follower. They have elemental control. Their weakness is being mind controlled, and they get their powers from an artifact. And their outfit, gear, suit, whatever, is got a dark and brooding tinge to it. Man, that's interesting.
that is very
That's
interesting, especially given like it's kind of weird how it almost feels a little contradictive with the powers of like, oh, they're born with it, but then now they have to like now their powers come from an artifact. So what
also
is the
could
art?
be inherited. So the art. Never mind. I'm shutting up. I'm not
Oh,
saying
oh,
anything else
oh.
because I'm
You're
not
fine. Hey,
influencing you. I'm going to end
this
up giving you all my ideas.
Yeah, and exactly. We don't need to be doing that because again, the whole point of today's like, I guess again, if we had to clarify it as a lesson for the school of fish, is that we obviously want to show off different design processes and to show different mentalities. What was the
Real
first?
quick for Deadpool, can you show the first one again just so he can see it?
Yep, the first
Um,
list is going to be origin story. So
oh
we
yeah,
have
there we
origin.
go. So there it
Yeah,
is right
so
there.
just so that we can kind of get like a fun little recap over here, we have number one is origin story. Where do they come from? And it's from 1 to 6, which is accidental, gifted, chosen, built, trained, or reborn. So again, these are said things over here. Take a screenshot while you can. 3, 2. Moving on. Second list we have over here is personality type, whether or not they're overconfident to a fault, sarcastic sense of humor, stoic and serious, constantly narrates their own actions. I think that was the funniest one, and I have yet to properly roll a character for that. Um, obsessed with rules.
Puts himself in the list.
I know, right? What's it called? Flirtatious with everyone. There's also always munching on snacks, which again is the character that we ended up basing our characters on at first. And talks to their costume, weapon, or powers, which is like that's another interesting thing. Then of course we have the different superpowers ranging from 1 to 12, and also when this video is more like officially done and whatnot, make sure to comment different superpowers so then that way we can add them onto the list, or at least on my list over here. Because Mr. Fish got a metric ton over there, but I think it'd be very interesting to kind of add more ideas on here, so then that way we can roll more dice. Because I need an excuse to make it, a legitimate cause to roll more dice because I think it's fun.
See, that's the thing. I like what you got here, and I like the different pages that you've got set up here with the different things on it. I'm going to redo my list and I'm going to shorten it, and I'm going to break it up into some layers like this so that we can roll one at a time. And I think that's going to work out pretty cool. And still we can keep it simple enough. Like you have elemental control, that could be whatever element we want it to be, or we could roll for it if we want to. But
Right.
I like this. I'm going to do up my own list, but absolutely comment powers you'd like to see in there, because I'm all about adding weird, interesting things onto my list and see what we come up with it. I got
Exactly. And
subtitles on my list. I'm still waiting to roll up subtitles.
and I
Freaking
mean,
Chris Thomas, thank you very much.
and not only that, but also your contributions to adding different superpowers also makes much more very entertaining and engaging content. So if you guys want to see your potential superpower being rolled up on a Roll for Hero episode, please make sure to like comment a superpower when this video is done. Heck, put it into the live if you need to. But again, that's just going to be a lot of fun. So that superpowers, we have different weaknesses. This is ranging from 1 to 12, being allergic to a rare element or mineral like kryptonite. We have weak against specific colors or sounds. They can't control their powers when they're emotional. And then we also have powers that don't work at night. That one has to suck, especially like if you're like imagine you're a nighttime based hero and your powers don't work at night. Like, oof, that's gotta hurt. Vulnerable to
Being the
cold.
great hero during the day, and then sundown comes, and Captain
Clock
Super
out.
attacks, and you're like, oh yeah, I got a dip. Sorry, at
I'm
dinner
useless
time.
here.
Oh, that would.
Then that would, and then we have vulnerable to cold or heat. So again, if you live in Florida or Antarctica, sucks to be you. Then we have powers that stop working if they lie. So like an honest hero, that would be really interesting. Then they're susceptible to mind control, loses power when they're injured. What's it called? Drained by technology, bound by a magical oath, takes damage from their own powers. The powers are tied to their health if they're weakened. so do their abilities, so on and so forth. And then we have power modifiers. These are a lot of fun to do. Excuse me. They can use their powers in direct sunlight, which is like the opposite of the nighttime one, or basically still playing into the nighttime one. Anyways, powers that come from a mystical artifact that can be stolen, powers that can grow stronger with emotions and whatnot. Powers have a random side effect like burst of glitter, loud sounds, strange smells. It's like, other kinds of things. And we have powers that work better in water, powers that drain physical strength every time they're used. Powers that are fueled by magic and, they malfunction under stress. Powers activated only when wearing a special costume. Or powers are unstable and evolve over time. Now, those are just the modifiers. Those are basically kind of like weaknesses, but to a different degree. And of course, we have the finalized one, which is super suits, which is bright in primary colors. So think typical spandex Spider-Man like suits, dark brooding Batman, dark suit Invincible, so on and so forth. And then we have retro pulp heroes like from the 40s and the 50s. Nothing more than suits and ties and some domino masks there, hey? Then we have street level practical, wearing street clothing, hoodies and trench coats and all that other kind of stuff. Then we have armored and tactical, think army based, or maybe like tactical in a different kind of situation. Then we have element themed, flames, frost, lightning, so on and so forth. We have animal inspired ones, which is a lot of fun, especially if you rolled animal powers, because then you get to roll an animal and you get to go from there. Then there's cultural and traditional motifs, which, could play into a major factor, especially with elemental powers. Futuristic and high tech, which is usually the ones that I tend to roll up for some reason most times. And of course, we have homemade and patchwork. Think like early suit Spider-Man, where he had to wear like nothing more than a hoodie, and then he had to try to make it himself, kind of a thing. So those are all my lists. Oh, what do you got?
My idea. Never mind. I got my idea.
Oh, and then I also have this list over here. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be like a definitive one yet, because I feel like this would have to work better for villains, because then we can do like an arch nemesis. So there's like an evil doppelganger, a criminal mastermind, corrupt government official, alien invader, rogue AI, mutant monster, sorcerer, former ally turned evil, interdimensional warlord, cult leader, assassination syndicate, a corporation tycoon, time-traveling conqueror, bounty hunter, cursed undead, shape-shifting imposter, bioweapon gone rogue, ancient god, gang lord, alien, symbiote, because that is a lot. Ooh, try saying that all under one breath.
I see, those are the parts that I like, is when you get those weird modifiers that, like, okay, you got these powers and they're tech based or whatever, but you're on the run from the mafia. And and then having to figure out, like, okay, well, how did my character get this way? Why is this the way this is? And I love that. That gets my imagination spurred and going, and fires the creative juices, as it were.
Yes, it does. Give me a second as I modify our screen here. So then that way you're on top of your screen, I'm on top of mine. Perfect. There we go. So now we're going to have to show off our designing process. Now, for me, this is actually the best part when it comes down to designing and whatnot.
Oh, there's some really great ideas in the comments too, by the way. Absolutely. Keep it up, guys. That's some great stuff.
Oh, cuteness is a weakness. That...
gosh, I know some people got that weakness. Just a pretty face and batted eyelashes, and they'll give you the keys to their car. Yeah,
dang, I didn't know my fiance was part of this list. Little cutie patootie be always be like, "I shall we, honey." I'm like, "God dang it, I can't get mad at you." Then what's it called? The ones that can think that are already the list. Got dumb. What's it? I got a dumb power. Flaming farts. It's great. Yeah, that would suck. But imagine the costume that would have to go with it. All right, so we're gonna be showing off. But automatically, you already got Mr. Fish going with the whole body structure over here, and I'm over here lacking and not even getting anything done. Okay, so a fantasy hero. Also, you know what? Here's one more roll. All right. This is probably gonna make or break your overall design right now. Ready, Mr. Fish? Odd, it's a man, and even is a woman. All right, you're lucky because it's a guy.
I mean, I can do a woman real quick, but my whole idea is kind of I've got my guy. I got him. He's in my
okay. So now we're getting to kind of see the process. It's kind of crazy because you already see him drawing out his whole character over here. And for me, I had to weirdly start off with like a stick figure in a strange way because I need to kind of like build the character from the ground up. So a fantasy
Mhm.
who's been gifted powers. So this is going to be an interesting one. So they're gifted their abilities. What would they look like? What's their overall physique? I should also probably do a roll on like what their physique would look like. You know,
See, that would be a neat modifier to add in. Like, are they bulky? Are they thin and acrobatic? Are they, you know, are they a tank like Superman? Are they huge like the Hulk? Or are they huge like the Blob? Like, I mean, they could really throw in some interesting variation there if suddenly you have an out of shape hero or something like that.
right? And then my friend Lexi over here actually has a pretty good comment. What's it called? If it would show, because it might be a bit of a delay on my side of things. Is it going to show? Am I going crazy? Crazy. I was crazy once. They locked me in a room. There we go. Some superpowers are based. Some superpowers based off stuff from One Piece would be awesome. Yes, I very much agree with that. Especially because the only downside in One Piece is like they can't swim. That's like their one and only weakness is because they live in a world that's like you know, like 80%, like 90% water, and there's like only a very few like land masses across the entirety of that world. So being
Hmm.
cursed to not like swim again because the fruits are supposedly like going against the goddess of said world, already a bit of an interesting factor and can build up such like world building situations. Okay, so speaking of, so then also this kind of then dictates what kind of culture are we inspiring maybe our character off of? Is it a again, so they're basically wearing a dark and brooding kind of outfit, and it's a fantasy inspired hero, right? So we'll kind of do that and we'll go off from there and whatnot. Who knows? I might make this the villain in my candy themed campaign. Dark and brooding. All I have to do is just give him some licorice as a thematic aspect of it. And I mean, my friends are gonna go feral and nuts all at the same time because they know the villain. Captain Black Licorice, Captain of the Black Licorice Pirates. Oh, my favorite part of doing Dungeons and Dragons or just tabletop in general is doing the voices for me, just because I finally get to like exercise my voice acting kind of skills in a way.
Oh yeah.
What is your favorite
Like
part of doing stuff like that?
my absolute favorite part is the whole seat of the pants aspect of it because I got so fed up with coming up with big complex bad guys and backstories and the way the base was set up and where all the traps were and how you could beat the villain and give you this one awesome way to be able to beat them and all this stuff, and then have the team come in and say, all right, we're going to put, a bunch of C4 charges on the back wall of the base, blow a hole through right into where he is. And then we're just going to, fill the whole room up with cherry Kool-Aid with a magic wish and, drowned him. And I put all this work in and you just I but what about the backstory on the guard that's in the middle room that was going to say this when he died and make you feel bad about his kid? No, all of that just gone. We just surpassed all of that. So eventually, I just said, forget it. I'd come up with basically like who the bad guy is and what the whole general MacGuffin was that you're going after that's going to get you there. And then I just go by the seat of my pants. I know as much as the players do going in, and we figure it out as we go. Like whichever direction they go is the direction that I follow, and I create the world as we go, and I create new characters on the fly, which means new accents and new powers, and I have to come up with all new super powered bad guys and henchmen and stuff left and right, and that has been really fun. That spontaneity has led to some of the coolest things
Mm.
in my game. Like I just randomly came up with a spaceship that this one character had, and when the heroes stumbled upon it, uh, suddenly it had a personality, and they started talking to it. And they talked to it long enough, and they got the idea, like trying to talk her into being on their side. And when I rolled, it wasn't that hard because she wasn't that loyal to him, to the bad guy, and he wasn't very nice to her. And so yeah, she went with them pretty quickly. And if they hadn't forgot to lock the door and arm the cloaking device, she'd still be with them. But she got stolen back because they just left her, open and obvious. And the bad guy walked back in with his command codes and took her. But it's that seat of the pants stuff that I absolutely love.
Oh man,
Let's see.
trust me, I'm
Philip
aware of
says,
the
"Wow,
pants.
these drawings are absolutely amazing. Great job, Esteban and Mr. Fish." Uh, let's see. Commander Comics says, "What about powers that you get from entering a comic book world, like reality manipulation, temporal teleportation, narrator voice that controls reality?" Now, narrator voice would be cool, like to just be able to say, "And then Esteban slapped himself in the face, powerfully, knocking himself out of his chair." Like, I mean, that would be really fun.
Any of your
So are you
works
gonna?
opens so are you gonna place any of your works open source? Personally, for me, no, just because I like my ideas and I want to keep them to me because I'm a selfish little gremlin. Okay, what about the bad guy backstory? Yap yap yap. No Ralph. Boo, bad guy. Don't care. Okay, first of all, oh listen. Okay, so for context as to what my good friend Legacy Loser over here was stating, in the campaign that I ran years ago, as weird as that sounds, God, I'm old. In this campaign, I know, right? But there was a campaign in the campaign of Pirates of Sweet Tooth Island, we had this one infamous character who sounded like Beetlejuice, and honestly, at this point, that's all I can kind of hear now. Now that I do his voice, he was this goblin character who basically pissed off the entirety of the group so often, so much that it became like a full-blown problem for them. They tried their best to kill off this stinking goblin, but I always made it a habit of like getting him out of the way before they actually had the final blow. And for me, like until this day, they don't like him. It was a goblin like fighter, and his name was Ralph. So to my friends, apologies, but not really, because I'm going to do the voice. You have been warned, because he's definitely sounding like this. Like, hey there, my name is Ralph, and I'm the leading commander of the Black Licorice Pirates. Oh. Like he was a despicable character by every metric. Okay, I have to get designing on this full outfit here, man, because I've just been drawing nothing but the body, and you're already like 50 steps ahead of me, dude.
Well, they don't call me the fastest pen in any comics for no reason.
And this,
I'm quick, but then also like I've got a decade or two on you, so
this
it
do
comes
be
with the
true.
territory. Yeah.
This do be true. And also to my friends, he wasn't even the main bad guy. And yet they hated him. That is so true. They hated Ralph with a burning passion. They hated him with the wrath of 1,000 suns and then some. And she goes, my friend over here says, I hate dog. Listen, I loved him. And I mean, he was one of the most annoying characters by far. His campaign, Melanago, blah, blah, blah. What's it called? In this campaign, well, I have no idea what. Sorry, I couldn't either. I'm bad at reading, or I'm just bad at reading. Yes,
It's one or the other.
Yeah, one or the other. And to my friend Lexi, you all did curb stomp him. You roasted him to a fiery pork belly related dish because y'all were not having it that day. Because Lord knows what would have happened if that goblin left and actually, reigned supreme if Captain Black Licorice didn't command the armies. All right. Now I got to get onto the design here. I didn't even draw his face. That's fine. Dark and brooding and elemental control. Okay. Fantasy themed. So we're just gonna go off of this. Oh, and an artifact. Okay. These are the things that these are the things, man. These are the things. What's it called over here? We have Rodrigo Padilla. Hopefully I said that correctly. What are your thoughts on the new Superman movie? You like it or you love it? I love it. It was like a literal Superman cartoon come to life, and honestly, a movie, in my opinion, we really need.
I will say I loved it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There are a few things on it that drove me up the freaking wall that I absolutely don't like. There's a couple of things that I couldn't stand. And no, it's not. No, Superman's woke. Ain't my Superman. None of that BS. Um, the things that drove me nuts were like in the scene where he's on the porch with Pa, and you got the big giant close up of his head. You've got the dark black hair or wig or whatever, and then you have his natural light brown eyebrows. and they didn't bother to either dye his eyebrows or make up them or anything to make it match with the hair. And that just when his head's 30 feet tall, that took me out of the motion. And it was such an emotional moment, and it was such a powerful emotional moment for me to all of a sudden be like, his eyebrows aren't right. This whole thing's fake. Like I hated that. That it's a little thing that didn't have to be there. That bothered me. The whole saving the day at the end with basically the flip of a switch. I hate that in any movie.
Right.
Nothing in the movie matters anymore if it was just a matter of somebody throwing a switch. And if you can rip the whole world in half, but oh, let me flip this light switch and the whole world went back together again. Then what's the consequences? Why was it a struggle? Nothing that anybody did in the movie mattered. If, it and honestly, really, the more I thought about it, the more I came out kind of feeling like, Indiana Jones, like, did
Oh God.
Superman really have an effect in the end? Or if like he hadn't been there, would everything have just been okay? Like, I mean, because I don't care for it. I mean, and it's just a couple of little things like that that bother me more in the like the writing
Th-
and the how they crafted the movie. The
Right.
overall movie, I thoroughly enjoyed. It was so much fun. I want to see a world that is full of superheroes that are already there, and we don't have to explain why this little artificially created gremlin monster can grow into a giant fire beast. And like, that we can do that because this is the world we live in. This is a world where I could totally believe the lizard monster men that live underneath Metropolis in DC could just come out of the sewers and try and take over. Like, I could believe that in this world, and I absolutely loved that. I loved the idea of Superman being just so hardcore out to protect life in all of its forms was beautiful to me. The relationship with his family, I dearly loved. Him getting heartbroken and gut punched in the middle of it emotionally, I absolutely loved. It broke my heart. And there's so much good stuff about it. I absolutely love it. I think it's absolutely the way DC should go with their movies in the future. There's just a couple of little writing things that bothered me. That's my thing.
Okay. And I mean, I definitely understand your perspective on that for sure. And for me, I think it's just because for me as a lifelong, fan of just comics in general, it was definitely a movie that we definitely needed just because, we don't have any, especially for DC, I was just happy that the movie was well written to some, yeah, sure, technical stuff aside, at least in my opinion, it's finally a good movie that we can all look at and be like, finally, a good DC movie where we don't have a Superman that has to contemplate whether or not he's a god or whatever, but is like
Mhm.
an actual person with emotions and whatnot. And I think like, yeah, sure, technical stuff aside, but I mean, it's also a world of comic books. Maybe, yeah, the technical flip of a switch, I understand that. But also it's like, it's comic books. They can always, mumbo jumbo science explain that nonsense away. But then I also understand you would like some variation of realism, you know? So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
I'll just,
I don't want it to be super gritty, ultra realistic, like I don't I'm not looking for the boys here. I want it to matter. And that's something that I think Fantastic Four did really well. It mattered. There were consequences to save the day at the end of the Fantastic Four. And even though it might have gotten magically fixed at the end so that the consequences, weren't as dire as they were for a moment there, uh the way it was magically fixed makes sense in that world. Like, there was still deep consequences. I cared. Things were lost. People sacrificed to save the day. And, like, if Superman had to make the choice between letting that entire world collapse and all the people that were trapped in there collapse with it, and to save everybody, in the world, that would have given it emotional stakes that mattered to me. Like, or if he had to risk his own life to go in there and collapse it and let everything collapse around him just to have Mr. Terrific magically save the day at the end and pull him out somehow. That would have been cool because then like he would have had to sacrifice something. But, you know, really he just, punched on things and but Mr. Terrific saved the day, and still it was with the flip of a switch. But eh,
I
that's
mean,
my
I'll
take
take
on it.
no, and I hear you on that. For me, I think any win is a win, especially for DC related content, because
Oh man, they need it bad.
they need it more than anything else. And I very much enjoyed it, especially because the whole
Oh
point
yeah.
of it was to give off like a hopeful message, and something that we definitely need to be hearing more often, now
Oh
than
yeah.
ever.
Like I said, I enjoyed the movie. I just I had some problems with that, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and definitely hope they continue in that direction. And it gave me a lot more hope for James Gunn's role in all of this, because honestly, I was a little worried. I was so excited for Creature Commandos to come out. And I will thoroughly admit I have not read any recent Creature Commando stuff. Like, my love of the Creature Commandos goes back to like the 80s when they very briefly had a toy line and stuff. Um, like, I go way back. I'm not up with the current stuff, and the show may be absolutely what was happening in the current comics. I can't speak to that, but it
Mhm.
very much felt like Guardians of the Suicide Squad, and that that left me very concerned for what he was going to do with the rest of DC. Superman has given me great hope that he gets the kind of stories you need to be telling about these characters. And like I said, I loved Superman overall, and I think it was a great take on the character, and him just being a nice guy, and the struggle being a nice guy in this world. And you know eh, I loved it. I really loved what they did with it.
I mean, not only that, but the fact that in Superman, he was a very selfless person doing something on his own accord. And given how he has all those powers, it's like they wanted, like, especially like in the film, it's like, did you like come into accordance or did you talk to said leader? It's like, it's kind of crazy because like he just wanted to do the right thing, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, why should I have to talk to somebody when they're only concerned about their own selfish things? Like, nobody's really concerned about the people that are going to die on the front lines, and I can't let people die for something so stupid. I love
Exactly.
that.
All right. So I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of putting it together. And I have to keep in mind that this is supposed to be like a dark and brooding character. So we'll see what happens here. So I'm just thinking like try not to give too much away because I don't want to unintentionally inspire Mr. Fish to do something else, but he's probably on his own is in his own world right now.
Oh, I am deep down my own little rabbit hole.
Pun intended, especially with the Alice Lost in Wonderland comic that you should totally get over at Go Mr. Fish at gomrfish.com. You should totally go to his site, Apprehend, go support his Kickstarter because he deserves
Available
it.
now.
And there's the fiance.
Hey, fiance!
We love it here. We love it here. Okay.
For those
All
of
right.
y'all
So
who don't know, every time he says that in one of his videos, out loud say, "Hey, fiance," and it's become a running bit with me now that I got to do it every time.
every single time. And sorry for my quality of my audio about to die off because my computer is on the verge of death because running this many things and whatnot is definitely putting my uh laptop through the ringer right now. Thunder bringer through the ringer. Because time. What's up? Not epic being into this entire thing where we're just drawing a fantasy dark brooding hero. All right, now I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to disconnect my mic.
No.
All right, and then oh yeah, so Lexi and Mick are in the chat, and Lexi says, "Wifey." Yeah, I got competition. They're trying to steal her. That's why I put the ring on her.
You got to, man. You find a good one, you need to ring that thing up quickety quick. That's
Yes,
what
sir.
I did with my wife, man. I wasn't playing around.
Listen, I take my playtime serious, okay? But I wasn't playing around in this relationship. Alrighty, so I'm kind of going with this strange type. Ah, dang. Okay, you know what? I think this kind of works to an extent. We can make this work. We can make this work. Okay, so that is a very unique concept that I'm going off of here. But again, you can probably see how we're going off of two completely different mindsets as well. So again, to make it back to the whole, trying to make it educational, and we're just trying to justify our nerdy habits of drawing cool dudes here as a method of said education, or at least I know I am. You can definitely see how we have two different complete mindsets. Again, I'm kind of going at this in terms of like when I design a character, I always have to design it full bodies, like standing symmetrically. So then that way I can kind of add in my designs my way. But you can clearly see that in Mr. Fish's case, he's just going at it, designing it like if it was just already a thing, you know? Because for me, I got to keep
Well,
playing
I
around.
did start out basically symmetrical. Like I was really impressed when you were showing all of your characters the other day and you had such a nice clean symmetrical image of them all. I was a little jealous. I'm not going to lie. I was a little jelly.
Like,
So I created a when I started this figure, I started him from a symmetrical pose, but then I did lift one arm up a little bit just to show off the gear a little bit, his armor that he's got. Well, his little bit of armor. He's basically got some uh, gauntlets and some heavy boots and this head thing that he inherited that give him his powers.
I'm kind of going off of something else a little differently here, especially in terms of like his weird, helmet of some kind that I happen to give him. I mean, if his powers are weakened by mind control, you obviously want to try to
Mhm.
find a way to kind of, not have that affect you as much in a strange way.
Yeah, that's exactly why I gave my guy headgear too, and I didn't forget that part at all because I'm a professional.
I totally didn't forget that either. Cough. Um, love you, honey. So again, dark and brooding, but then also we get to see like two different interpretations of dark and brooding. Like in my case, I'm kind of going in a weird fantasy tribalistic way. Like weirdly enough, the helmet is kind of giving me like a tribal Aztec kind of a concept, but very sleek and kind of going off of like the notion of like this is like an unknown figure because their face is completely covered. It's like a Aztec inspired helmet. The more I look at it, weirdly enough, in my overall design concept for it. And then I'm probably just gonna add in some like little rope effects and whatnot. You're already in the lining art process. I gotta step up, my guy. Get
It's
over
not a
here.
race.
Listen, we are trying to keep this thing at a reasonable time so people don't, doze off and whatnot. Because I also happen to have the D of H and A's and all of that other stuff in between. Maybe I don't know. I'm just a
Indeed,
guy.
the alphabet soup makes it even more difficult.
Exactly. That's just how it is. Rodrigo Padilla ends up asking to kind of get to the comments here so we can actually get to responding. And to my friend Mika, yes, I'm aware of Sapphire. I don't want to dive into the trauma of Perrin because that's the last thing I need. Not Perrin. I love my elven boy, all right? But he went through way too much for his own good. All right, come on, show it off here because I am, what's it called? So he ends up asking, I don't know if it's showing up on the screen or not, that or I'm just going insane. What's it called? Are you gonna do a PD version of the Justice from the Superman 2025 movie? Now that is not a bad idea, but this has to apply. I have to make a Mr. Terrific. I would also have to make my other rendition of a Green Lantern character, which I actually have on the way. I'm not gonna say it here because y'all gonna be the ones to have to go check out that video. And I would have to kind of create my own Hawk Girl. So, again, in order for me to kind of do that. So, we'll see what goes on from that point. I'm not against the notion of doing that in any way, shape, or form. If you love her, you put a ring. I did, and then what's it called? I do the same thing. My sister gets made. What the heck? Either man, me and reading are not having a good time. Thanks, honey, making me illiterate. Yeah, it's your job. All right. So again, what are some inspirations if you were to kind of go off and do, since we're kind of now on our own paths in terms of our little creative endeavors, what is your more inspirational aspect of this? What's it for your design?
Like,
What
where
is
did I get my
your
inspiration
theme?
from?
What's yes, just off the
Well,
rip. I know that we're making these as we go.
as I was thinking about the elemental aspect, and I was trying to think like what element did I want to use, and for a minute there I was like, I could go something really weird for a fantasy realm like radiation or something, and
No, well, it's about to.
make it really complex and unusual. But then I started thinking of the basic elements, and I started thinking about rock, and I was thinking about uh fantasy characters and the not the tropes, the classes that you tend to have, like fighter and wizard. And then I thought of a thief, and I thought of someone with earth bending rock type powers. And then I remembered a suit of armor I got in a role playing game once, and that gave me the ability to go through the earth. And basically I could just walk through earth and rock like it was nothing. And I was playing this little dwarf that had this ability, and so I could just go through the walls and come out the other side, or I could sneak under the ground and like reach up and grab somebody's legs and pull them down into the ground a little bit and then let go. And they lost their legs and are stuck there. And uh, the DM didn't let me do that very long before he took that power away, because I was just wiping out armies of bad guys that were hiding behind closed doors. Um, so I decided that my guy is a thief from a long family of thieves, and he has had this armor passed down to him, that this rock armor that lets him go through the ground, lets him basically be an earthbender slash like Kitty Pride. And so he can go wherever he wants. He can go through all the doors of the king's vaults, and go through the back wall, come up through the floor. There's no place that he can't get to if it's made out of stone. Metal's a little bit harder because it's more refined, but he works hard enough, he can get through it. And I'm really digging the idea now. I'm really liking it.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. And for me, I guess I'm going for like a again, like I was saying before, kind of more like of an Aztec kind of aesthetic over here. And in terms of like element bending, I think in this case you would have a little bit of everything. Like a strange mix of Aztec, maybe like some like especially with the weird beads or like the weird thing that's going across his chest. I could see that definitely being like the different types of other elements from maybe wood, stone, and all that other kind of stuff, going
Oh,
more
cool.
going off of that kind of vibe. So maybe it's like part of an ancient like family tradition line of heroes even, and maybe he happens to just be the next one. But maybe in a typical teenager kind of fashion, instead of being like a hopeful bright hero that uses the elements for good and whatnot, he's like, oh, I'm gonna use the elements for good, but for my kind of good, and takes it to an edgier level and whatnot. Like think he's your typical teenage angsty kind of hero and whatnot.
Like the what's in it for me kind of hero.
Exactly. Maybe just like again, just kind of like off rip. And not only that, I mean, the helmet kind of having to protect him from such threats and attacks and whatnot definitely is a
Mhm.
unfortunate factor, especially because he's like always probably in his own head and he'd rather be there than having somebody else mess with him. Maybe it could also just be like a family lineage thing that they need to have like a custom made headwear for their heroic endeavors to some degree. So it
Mhm.
could be like a family. So
Oh, I'm
like we really
thinking.
enough, we both came up with the idea of like a family lineage hero, but it's like
Well,
how
but
that
it's also in the
lineage
thing, like
continues
it got
on is a really
inherited or
unique way.
something.
This just only goes to show you like how different our mindsets are, and also what we have to think of like when we thought of fantasy, like what different rendition of
Mhm.
fantasy do we even have?
Yeah, oh yeah. And I'm thinking like at some point, like Charles Xavier Magneto style, he's come across some wizard or something with mind control powers that he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not falling for that again." So, he's fashioned this stone. headdress thing to go with his armor that has these sigils on it to help protect him from mind control. I'm really digging this character. I could see playing him in a game or even doing, a story about him. I don't know why I don't like I've played so many role-playing games and ran so many games that took place in fantasy settings. Like surprisingly, like I used to play a lot of D&D with friends, but after like 16 when I started running my own games, I never really went back and played anything but one of my own games, my homebrews. Some of those were fantasy settings for sure, but never like actual rules D&D. So like after the like complex second edition advanced D&D with like, the crazy THACO rules and all that stuff, I haven't really played regular D&D. I'm a little intimidated by the thought of having to learn all the rule sets and stuff. I've used the monsters, I've played the kind of settings, I've done it all except played under the actual rules.
My computer's getting hot again, so just had to
I
try to
was
find
going
a
to
way to
say
keep.
your audio went out there for a second. I can hear you
Yeah,
now.
it's just yeah, because I didn't want my little portable fan over here to worry you out there, that because that's what I need right now for my laptop because it gets hot real quick. So again, because it's running so much going on right now, especially having to do all this drawing and whatnot. Anyways, but yeah, so like for instance, like I would love to kind of play this character, and also the inspiration for me, like I said, very Aztec and whatnot. But when I thought of like a fantasy concept for it, I kind of thought more like the monk, like a very hand-to-hand combat kind of a thing. It was one of the first like inspirational classes that popped into my mind, but then kind of like subverting it a little bit and kind of giving it more of a darker edge and whatnot. So that was more like my main inspiration, at least for my rendition of this character. Again, very much like using the elements to his benefit and whatnot. And I will also say too, like commenting on the whole like playing it under the 5e rules. It's all right. It also depends on like your gaming group and whatnot. Because for us, we will kind of play in almost just about anything. Like we'll use the official rules and as official as we can get. Because sometimes we'll go way too into homebrewing. But it's a lot of fun, especially like once you put in your own like theming and your own twist onto the matter there. So it's just a lot of fun putting that kind of together, especially world
Yeah,
building.
I'd like to go back and play it sometime. I've always been the guy running the game for the last, 30 years. So, which at first I thought was going to be lame because I thought like, man, if I'm running the game, I'm never going to get to play again. And the I didn't realize you get to be every character. You get to play all day, every day. And that is so cool. And I didn't realize that that was an option.
Feel you on that. I don't know if my video footage is showing or not, just
No, it's black
because of
now.
like how much it's lagging. So sorry if I'm a little silent on my mind over here, and sorry for the. Okay, cool. Just want to verify because I'm just getting into the line arts of my character over here.
Oh, it's perfectly fine, man. It's perfectly fine. If you need to take a minute and let it cool down or whatever,
Oh, that's fun. We love technical difficulties while
do it.
we're streaming our
I'll switch my
ideas.
guy over here to the big screen for a minute while that's down. And let's look at some of the comments while Esteban's working on his
We're just
drawing.
currently
Let's see. Whoops, he's gone altogether, but I bet you he'll be back. Let's see. Philip says, "Whoa, the inspiration or ideas for the characters that you two are creating are absolutely stunning and wild. Thank you so much, man." And I base my heroes and villains based on some part of me in my life. Let me tell you something, Commander Comic. That is absolutely 100% what I do. Like in my book, Green Zone, all of my characters could not be more different than each other, but they are all absolutely some part of me, like turned up to 100. Like, Virgil is a 8 foot tall lizard monster, but he is absolutely what it feels like to be me and be so much bigger than everybody and have people look at you like you're some big scary thing when you're not. Like I couldn't be a nicer guy, but I come off looking very scary to people on the outside when I'm 6.5 feet tall, and whatnot. Bellamy is 5 feet tall and little 100-pound girl covered in razor sharp quills. I am neither 5 feet tall nor 100 pounds, but I absolutely know what it feels like to be afraid of hurting those people around you because, like, if I step on your toes, I'm breaking something. Um, and I know what it's like to be in a body that hurts all the time, like hers does with the quills coming out of her. It's constant sensory overload for her, which I live with the Tourette's. It's absolutely me. Danny Kim is just looks like a Korean kid, and he's one of those, "Hey, how you doing? Oh man, good to see you. Oh, I bet you're a killer with the ladies." And he is absolutely the mask that I use to deal with neurotypical people being autistic. It's that, "Hey, it's your Uncle Fish. Glad to see you. Come on back for School of Fish." It's that turned up to 11 and all the worst aspects of that go with it. So, really fun, really interesting. Absolutely put myself into all of my characters. Um, he says, "Hey, Esteban and Mr. Fish, do you have tips for world building with comics?" Hmm. And what would that cause? What happens because of this? That's the thing that I really use to help come up with interesting worlds. Like that's what I got a whole lot of the idea for the realm of Green Zone from just a dream that I woke up from, where like people could be born with mutant powers, but you lose your citizenship if you're a mutant, and you have to work for the government to prove you're not a threat, prove you're not a supervillain waiting to happen, and to be able to get your citizenship. So you got these people trying to be cops, trying to earn their citizenship. If they can survive 5 years, they get their citizenship and they can move out of the ghettos. Um, but once I started thinking about that idea more, that led to all kinds of things like why? Why do people feel this way? Why are they afraid of them? Well, they're afraid of them because if you have people disenfranchised for so long with no opportunities, no way to make a better life for themselves, but yet you have the power to shoot, lasers out of your eyes, eventually you are going to rob a bank or you are going to lash out. And I started thinking through everything. I started thinking through the civil rights movement. What would that have been like with people with superpowers? And when you try integrating the school, with kids with superpowers, but you're relentlessly torturing them, and the kids in class are teasing them until eventually this kid blows up in class. But of course, it's his fault because he's the monster. He's the superpowered monster that could blow up. It's not the kid's fault for torturing him. It's not the parents outside's fault for throwing rocks at him and threatening to kill him for showing up to their kid's school. No, it's his fault for blowing up. And then it just started to steamroll, and the whole world became more real as I thought through the how and the why and the what would happen because of from all of that. Boy, my camera's lagging too. Look at that. Um, let's see here. Just finished drawing my character, which took me outside my comfort zone. Awesome, Deadpool. That's freaking amazing, dude. I can't wait to see it. Let's see. I don't do tech suits often, but that's what I rolled. Oh, wow. Awesome. Yeah, I don't tend to do a lot of tech suits. I draw them for other people a lot, but yeah, I don't have a lot of characters that have them per se. Um, let's see.
All right, I was
Or
gonna
were
say,
you not on camera for a reason, or?
no, I think I did. I don't know. Were you hearing this thing going off? I could have sworn I thought I was mute.
No, I wasn't hearing it go off at all. I saw your camera was on there, and I was wondering why you weren't
Yeah,
on
no, same.
screen.
I was gonna say. So I mean, first of all, very awesome stuff and very interesting world building aspects. From especially for the world of Green Zone. I think it also depends highly on the kind of world that you're trying to set up. Is your world fantasy based? Is your world sci-fi based? Is it like a typical superhero thing where there's a mix of both? English, Uncle Lee, come on, let's talk here. I blame you, you feminine.
Use word good.
Yes, good word. Use me. I do. But like for instance, like in my world of the Unbeatables, it's kind of like a combination of like My Hero Academia meets like a one speck of Invincible with the hero styles of like Marvel and DC. It has its wizards, it has its alien type of situations. It takes place in a somewhat realistic setting, and I mean not only that, but I for me it's more like the idea of like in the terms of My Hero Academia, it shows off the world being like a corporate kind of a thing, like showing off the corporate aspects of it. Like in My Hero Academia, in order for you to be like a hero, you need to go through a schooling situation, getting a license to being a hero. So in the world of the Unbeatables, that's like superhero is like a legitimate profession, working for a company, working for the government, or something else with caliber. My group of heroes, the Unbeatables themselves, are not really properly registered heroes because they kind of got a lot of stuff going on right now. And not only that, but the team before them, which was known as the Ultra 5, they never really wanted any hero registration in any way, shape, or form because their goal was to save the planet, not just a singular section of the planet. It wasn't just them saving to fight America or to save all of, the Middle East or, some part of Asia. No, they wanted to try to save the world as it is, But again, in this world, there are also super fights specifically for America, for China, for, all these other organizations. And also, I think it depends on the type of tone you want your world to emulate. So, like for my world, for the Unbeatable, a speed racer adjacent, race car driving event. You can drive all these hyper powered kind of cars that have a cool, thing going on in them. Like, you can shoot. And also in the, Easterl is actually a full blown Power Ranger. So that means that there are monsters and kaijus that they have to fight. Or maybe different aliens from a far off sector of the galaxy that just keeps invading, that place for a specific point in time or whatever. There's also, again, I also mentioned how in this world it feels vaguely similar to like, Marvel and DC. So this implies that there are people that are born with their powers and some that aren't, and, all this other kind of stuff. So again, it also depends on like what you want to see in this world. Sometimes you can just make it like a full blown Saturday morning cartoon, and just having at it, just doing whatever. But then sometimes you can make it like a super dark and gritty reality. Like there was this one comic, I think it was called like the 10 Seconders or something like that. And in this world, it is filled to the brim with superpowered people, but those people are monsters, like straight up actual like monsters. They're usually like paying an homage to a particular kind of hero. Like they had a spider-based one, and it's like this neighborhood is not so friendly and whatnot. So it's like it could also emulate the type of tone as well. So I mean, that's something that you would have to like really look into when making your own superhero world. Do you want to emulate something horror? Do you want to make it feel like a Saturday morning cartoon come to life? Do you just want to like give it a sense of reality, make it more sci-fi based? Those are just things that you have to like take into consideration when making like a world for your comic books, or heck, even for a tabletop RPG. Like when doing my this isekai game that I'm doing with my friends, they're going to be transported into a world of sunshine and rainbows in a weird way, but in reality it's not. It's like Candyland but now corrupted. So like that's my overall vibe for what I'm going for, at least in my whole universe and whatnot. Dang, you're already in the coloring stage. Look at you.
Again, it's not a race, not a competition.
It's not a
Oh,
race.
my
I'm just
camera
trying to,
freezing up.
yeah, camera be freezing up sometimes. All right, so
But
we're now onto this process over here, because now I'm going to add on this fun little rope, because we like ropes as belts, because that's pretty cool. It's pretty darn nifty.
but I gotta agree with you. Like thinking through how you want your world to work and what you want to be available in your world and what's not is is really important too. because that helps. Like, maybe you really don't want to have magic in your world for some reason.
For some
Well,
reason.
then that is that's something that you need to take into account for, and you need to think about, like, why is it we don't have it? Is there some big reason to it, or is it just, is that cutting off certain opportunities that we're going to have for cool ideas? Or uh like, some people sometimes put such, I don't want to say weird limitations on their worlds, but sometimes I have to wonder, like, why'd you pick that? uh
Like, what are
like,
some unique
well,
examples?
Well, for instance, I was trying to think. You were telling about your mutant characters, and that they've all got a white streak in their hair, and they've all got the same blood type. Was that what you were saying?
So yeah, actually, in my universe, the mutants, if you will, in this universe, to signify that you have like an O negative blood type, there would actually be like a white streak in your hair, because O negative is like a universal blood type that can be used for all. So then you can take that into consideration for them being adaptive or whatever, and then just kind of playing into that.
Now, I can see that as a reason to have that. I mean, like, my first thought is, like, how often does somebody's blood type come up in a story? But I can see, like, if you've got a reason for that making sense. Like, I know one guy has in his story, everybody that has powers has this same real world blood disease that is an actual disease that you get, doesn't give you superpowers or anything, but it's a real disease. And, like, my character T-Man from T-Man and Hyperstrike, he has Tourette syndrome, and his powers are based on Tourette syndrome because I have Tourette syndrome and I live with that. And I wanted to make a comic book that would be inspiring for kids with Tourette syndrome and help them, find the hero in themselves, and not focus on when the world tells you that you're a weirdo and you're a freak, but focus on all the cool things that come with it, like how fast I can draw characters and how fast I come up with ideas because my brain's wired differently. Um, I focus on that stuff instead of, like, I couldn't see yesterday when I got home. Not as much fun. I couldn't talk a lot of yesterday. Not nearly as much fun. Um, but I made that comic for a reason, for a particular audience that I happened to be a part of, and I had a reason to want to make that for the kids that I was interacting with. I don't know why this dude made this particular blood disease the source of the powers in his world. It seems like an odd choice to me. I mean,
Hmm.
it's his choice to make. He can do what he wants with it. It seems like a weird choice for me when, it's a real thing that people deal with, and it's not something you deal with. At the same time, like, Stanley created Daredevil, who was a blind superhero. He's not blind. He didn't, he never had to live like that. He's never had to experience what it's like to not be able to see. Uh, and gave him what I would say were almost kind of stereotypical. Is that the right word? I don't know. It's not
Like
really
the
racist, but it's kind of like the stereotypical, oh, well, yeah, your hearing gets better if you can't see. Like, it kind of seems, it
it feels
seems
like
almost like a little bit of a put down.
right, or or ironically, like a cop out kind of a thing for him to be that kind of hero.
Yeah. But at the same time, being somebody who spends a whole lot of his time unable to see, uh, a lovely side effect of my particular Tourette syndrome, uh, I have been really amazed at not not how much stronger my other senses got, but how much we never think about, how much input we get from the world that we don't pay any attention to because we're too busy paying attention to our eyes. It's easier to see that your fiance walked into the room than to notice the sound of the door opening, the pressure change in the room when the door opened, the sound of the echo from the other room changing the ambient sound in the room, and the way the echoes in the room changes as she moves through the room. You don't think about any of those things because you're busy looking at her. Like,
Right.
I can see where she is. I don't have to pay attention to my ears to know where she is.
Right.
But when you can't see, all of a sudden you notice all those things. Not that the senses are getting better necessarily. Sometimes the parts of your brain that we're working on site will eventually start processing audio input, but that's just putting more processor power behind what you can already do. But anyway,
Right.
long convoluted story, um but that character still went on to be, a huge inspiration to a lot of the blind community, and a lot of them, rallied around and loved the character, where a lot of people were legit afraid that they were going to get hate mail from like parents of blind kids saying that they were making fun of them. And they loved the character because it gave their kids somebody to look up to. So, I don't know, the blood disease still seemed like a weird choice personally, but um yeah, to each their own. I have a bunch of mutant characters that ended up looking like furries, so who am I one to argue? I totally unintentionally backed myself into a furry book and didn't even realize it. But as I was thinking up characters and I was thinking up powers and things, and I was thinking, like, what kind of powers could the human body manifest? Like, I mean, I've got people that can fly and can s- stretch and have telepathic powers and stuff, but ultimately, I thought it would be a whole lot easier and more common for the human body to create things that already exist in nature, like scaly skin or horns or claws or spots and things, stripes, way more regularly and often than, say, they would with shooting fireballs out of your eyeballs. You know, like, there are real, regular superpowers in my world, but not nearly as prevalent as there are natural type abilities, which ended up making everybody unintentionally into furries, as one does. Oh, I was going
Obviously,
to read some of the comments.
yes, you were. And sorry if I ended up crashing out or when I like crashing out of the system, not actually emotionally.
Oh, that's okay, man. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. It happens. Um, let's see. Little Commander Comic says, "Who about Dial H for Hero DC comic?" Oh, I loved Dial H. I thought that was so cool. I haven't read nearly as many back issues as I want to, but I'm always on the lookout for it at cons. That's one of the comics that I'm always looking forward to pick up. And they're always funny and goofy. Never particularly amazingly good, but always fun, and I always enjoy them. And the idea spurs my imagination more than anything. Philip says, "Thank you so much for the wonderful, fantastic tips for world building. I really do appreciate them. Can't wait to use some of them to help." Good deal. I hope it's a huge help to you, man.
Yeah,
Dadpool says, "Should try rolling for your colors next time." Ooh, now
that is
there
true.
is an idea.
Now, actually, funnily
There's an
enough,
idea.
there's this app that I have on my iPad called Coolers. It's Coolers, and it gives you
Mhm.
like 5 random colors, but supposedly those colors actually work really, really well with each other. And you can even like tap one if you like a particular color, but you don't like anything else. You can
Yeah.
tap it, and then you can modify the whole thing. It'll always shoot out like a different thing, and it'll even give you the technical like number for that color. So then, if you want to look it up, it could basically kind of generate it for you depending on where you're getting it from. But
Hmm.
that's actually a really interesting thing. I actually did that relatively in a way. Like I rolled like how many times would I have to generate a palette until like I got the one that I wanted, and or I ended up getting whatever it is I got. And eventually it came up with something very interesting. And again, when I showed off Radiant Night, that was actually based off of the color palette from Coolers, or from Coolers. All right, so now we are getting onto this stuff over
I've
here.
done that a few times myself. like go to one of those pallet generators when I'm stuck and like I don't know. It doesn't always come to you like a strike of lightning every time. Like sometimes, it takes a little work to get there. And going to something like that has been a lot of fun to help me try things out of my comfort zone. And I was working on one book, Night Watch, that should be going out to backers pretty soon. I know
Nice.
it went to print. It I was going with a very limited color palette on each page for that one, and so there was more than once I went to one of those generators to inspire me to new color palettes to work with and stuff to because I wanted each room, each setting to feel like a different place, have a different vibe to it. All right, let's see, grab that and come in here. Let's grab this color and see how that looks. No, that's not the ticket. That's the same color. Oh
Have
no,
my
it's not. That'll work.
unit kind of blasting cold air because again, I need my laptop to be functional right now.
Hmm.
So now I'm getting into the color change. I don't know what the screen is registering right now because it's probably not doing so hot at the
Looks like
moment.
a crotch shot to me.
Yeah, well, that's not the case. I am in a very different situation right now. Give me a second. Let me just kind of turn that off for a second. Maybe turn it back on. Do the typical. Is it not enough kind of a thing? Am I able to
Oh
fix
yeah.
it in one? Who knows? Who knows?
Have you tried turning it on and off again?
Who
Of
knows?
course I did. Well, try it one more time for me.
And putting it
Dang
through
it.
ice.
All right, thanks. Oh, I hate it when that happens. I've tried it a dozen times, and now that smug little IT guy's like, "Well, try it one more time for me," and now it works. And he's like, "Uh huh, yeah, sure, you tried it." It's like, dude, I tried it 10 times. I knew that was the first thing you were going to say.
I mean, I would call every IT guy a smug guy.
Yeah.
I mean, your dad is pretty smug, though. I will admit. My father-in-law is a pretty smug individual himself, a lovably smug one.
Yeah, you got to say that when
There
you're
we go.
marrying the daughter. I get it. Wink, wink. I know what you're
Listen,
saying.
I make. Oh, trust me. Listen, I make so many jokes with this man to the point where I'm surprised I'm still eligible to marry his daughter. Isn't that right, honey?
Oh yeah.
She's surprised too, as a matter of fact.
Listen, she heard some heinous things I have said unto this world that no man should hear.
It's because of his humor he approved.
You heard it here, folks. Be funny. When you're funny, you get the lady. In my opinion, that nobody asked for. But I could be very wrong. Because you can get your spouse in different ways.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. My wife does not dig my sense of humor very much. I get a lot of faces, and I'm like, if you only knew how funny I am, you should really be thankful that I am this funny. And sometimes I will just be laughing at my own jokes, and she'll be looking at me like I'm stupid, as she does. And I'm like, you should appreciate the fact that I'm sitting here laughing at my own jokes and not out at the bar running around blowing a fortune on the slot machines or investing in crypto or I could be doing all kinds of stupid stuff, but instead I'm sitting here drawing grown men in their underwear and laughing at myself, making silly sounds. I think that's a pretty good deal.
I mean, also you're getting the bills paid from doing exactly that, drawing muscular men in their underwear, beating the crap out of each other.
Can't beat
It's
it.
great,
Can't beat it with a stick.
Like I mean, I aspire to do such a thing as that, and so I can utter those exact words unironically.
Hmm. Oh man,
I mean, to do that is like probably one of the best things in the entire world.
yeah, when we first got married, there was a period there where like between moving to my town and getting a new job and then that job didn't work out and she had to move to a different place and start over from scratch. and the way the pay periods and stuff worked, there were 2 months there where I had to pay all of the bills completely by myself and handle everything for our new larger family of 4 and like 84 animals. And I could do it no problem with money I had saved up from drawing comic books. That is crazy. I could not do that
That
today,
is
but I could do it right then.
I mean, that is a flex if I've ever heard any. You get to pay bills by drawing muscular men in their underwear, beating each other up. Man, I'm trying to get to that point. I aspire to be at that level right now. But I mean, hey, it takes a whole village to get there at some point. So I mean,
Little Matthew from Michigan says,
tough out
"Fish,
here.
let's rock and roll soon, brother. You give me some dinosaur comic book money, and I'm gonna draw you some dinosaur comic books." I'm here to tell you, brother. Some of the most detailed, aggravating, fun stuff to draw because my OCD has to get everything right. And their armor has so many scales and little doodads and things, and I got to get it right. And I've got the action figures now. I've got them up on my wall, and I got my favorite ones out of the series. Mainly, so next time he asks me to draw it, I have a freaking model to look at, so I can make sure I get all those little doodads right. That's a big part of why I got them. Plus, they're really cool. Commander Comics says, I make my own greater base one of 3 themes: powers, food, and art style theme. Cool beans, man.
We love it here.
I'm really digging the interesting
so
mix of people we've gotten in the comments between our 2 channels. Has been a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it's been a blast, and I'm really hoping that we can keep up with this kind of stuff. I also love the idea of doing more just drawing out some whacked out fun stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, we should also do an entire segment on like drawing different types of monsters, or maybe trying to create our own interpretation of mythical creatures.
Oh yeah.
So then we can dive more into those kind of topics.
And like just like monster creation, character creation. I really like the idea of rolling up a set of powers, and like you doing a bad guy, me doing a good guy, or rolling up a set of powers, and you do I do a good guy and you make his villain. Like who would be the anti this guy? Like the anti Superman is essentially a normal guy who's just really smart, has a lot of money. Doesn't have any superpowers because he's a great contradiction to the guy that has all of the powers. And he makes a great foe and a great challenge. What's up, Pops Van Zant? Out there in the world, stopping in to say hey. Good to see you, Pops. And oh, looky there. We got a little old Mr. Midlife Crisis in the house saying love the characters. Thank you, brother. Speaking of Mr. Midlife,
thank you.
And now that we're an hour and 37 minutes into the show, my brother here, Mr. Midlife Crisis, I love this guy. My brother from another mother. Crazy as all get out, the boy ain't right. But I have never had somebody else that is as interested and invested and in love with my characters as I am. And it brings me so much joy to see him come back with me with these ideas of like, oh, is this what you're doing? Is this where it's going? Is this? And I'm like, dang, I wish I'd thought of that. That's good. I wish I'd been that creative. That was a really good idea. And not only that, he's a funny comedian. He's a talented rapper, all kinds of different skill sets, but he created not only a rap song to go with the new Alice book that's out now on Kickstarter, GoMrFish.com, that you can check out now, get issues 1 through 3 of Alice Lost in Wonderland. Not only did he come up with a rap song for that, but he took the animated video that I made and a bunch of other art that I shared with him and made a really awesome video to go along with it. And I thought we might take a little break here and show that video real quick, if you don't mind.
Of course. We got to show off every other artistic endeavor that's being shown here, man.
I'm telling you, this is some of the best fan art I have ever gotten. He did one for Green Zone that was really amazing. This one for Alice has been even better. So check this video out, and we will be back right on the other side. What is up, my man? Knew you were gonna be in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, my boy, Mr. Midlife. Why you gotta be difficult on a fishy?
Mr. Fish Comics does it again with Alice Lost in Wonderland. If you don't know, you're about to find out. Welcome to Wonderland, my tender morsel. Just so you know, once you're here, you ain't going anywhere. What's this? Alice sitting minding her business when she glimpses a blue eclipse quick. A white bunny rabbit over there, 2 clicks as his hip hops and reality splits off as soft logs. She kicks rock scrambling. Alice in his hand went. Time bends cause he couldn't afford to leave her for the Nexus order. Would've been a for sure slaughter. Fast forward, get with the program, man. Alice lost in Wonderland, wondering why the white rabbit on the run, running again with his sword splitting dimensions. Everyone from her to henchman trying to nab the wascally white rabbit. Even when he appear in thin air like hat tricks, he dips with the luck of St. Patrick on the good foot rabbit. Ribbit the way he jumps riffs with swiftness, leaving the witness as time bends around his split ends. How you chasing him to no end when you never begin? I wonder then if that's why they call it Neverland. We'll see, something fishy. How could you lose something you never had? You ain't lost till you find yourself by yourself, so try it out. Hear me out. With fear there's doubt, but that's how you find yourself. Even in the middle of nowhere, you're right there. Alice lost in Wonderland, wondering why the white rabbit on the run, running the game like he's late. He's late for an important date. Very keep digging them holes, you wind up buried, especially if she would hear of Ivory. Splits time, rewinds, and ends up behind White Bunny before time restarts, fulfilling an evil deed for the Queen of Hearts. Cause you tore hers apart like the sword she wields. Broken blue steel doesn't have the same appeal it once did as a kid, but still does what it do, splitting the very fabric of reality in two. She's lost because of you, it's no mystery, something fishy. How could you lose something you never had? You ain't lost till you find yourself by yourself, so try it out. Hear me out. With fear there's doubt, but that's how you find yourself. Even in the middle of nowhere, you're right there. Alice lost in Wonderland, hunting a man while wielding a sword in hand. Broke in, suddenly provoked when an air whispering, what's that? I thought what he that? I did. A green cat with yellow eyes that tries to mess with Alice's mind with constant pressure. Chill Shesha, or here's why. I rid you of your 9 lives, Mr. Spirit Yokai. So don't test or be turned to green vest as a warning of future pests. So don't mess with the wrong one or slow song Tin Man the gun. Bung bung, her tin companion with hand cannon blam blam and covered in ham sandwich. I'm still famished, something fishy. How could you lose something you never had? You ain't lost till you find yourself by yourself, so try it out. Hear me out. With fear there's doubt, but that's how you find yourself. Even in the middle of nowhere, you're right there.
I tell you, man, that is freaking awesome. That is so cool. I am so jealous of that skill set, man. I wish I could write music as easily as that. It really impresses me the stuff he comes up with. And it really surprised me because there's a couple of lines in there that are really close to things that are going to happen in the future, and you would think he knows what's coming, but he don't. And I'm not telling him which lines it is because he already gets too close sometimes. I can't give it all away. I got to leave some mystery in there for him. I got to leave some excitement.
I'm
But
telling you, that hit so hard. Sorry, there was a weird delay on my side of things, but that, bro, listen. If I get the first chapter or like the first volume of the Unbeatables, mind if you do one for me, dude? Because
oh man,
dude, that's awesome.
It is so cool, man. He comes up with some amazing stuff. Yeah, Pop's checking in from the Madness Network, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for showing the love. Thank you for stopping by and saying hey. Man, I'm loving the way your design's coming along. Let's
Yeah, because right now I'm trying to go with what I forgot where I got this color palette. I don't know if it's showing on the screen or not, but there's this color. I forgot where I ended up getting it from. Because one of the cool things about the iPad is, or like with Procreate and the iPad, is that you're able to kind of like take a photo. Like, say for instance, if there's like a fun little photo that you like and you like the colors from it, you can kind of take it and almost like smack it in to Procreate, and it'll transform it into a whole color palette. So I'm trying to use whatever. I forgot where I got this color palette from, and I think maybe that whole coating up there might be where I got it from. But trying to go with, I guess, because I think this has like the right balance of cool colors to warm colors needed, but still keeping it dark. Because again, it's a brooding kind of outfit. So I'm trying to like keep up the idea that this would be like a dark colored kind of suit. Even probably, let me just see. So this is at least where I'm going at so far. And I guess I went with like a bit of an ancestral, concept of like, again, I like the idea that this was like a family lineage thing that has been passed down from like one supposed elemental bender to the next.
Oh yeah.
So again, to kind
Speaking
of
of color palettes, if you don't mind, I'm gonna share a little tip real quick
yeah,
that has come in real handy for me here with a picture of my buddy Charlie McElvey, the creator of Spider Squirrel and Scion Studios, and creator of all kinds of awesome books, like American Yakuza and all kinds of cool stuff. Charlie's my buddy. I love him. I just happen to have this picture on hand from when he was on 5 Star one day, and I needed to make an embarrassing picture of him. But like, if I wanted to break this down into a similar color palette, a really easy trick for doing that in Clip Studio is to go to filter, and then which one is it? Is it distort? Render? No, wait a minute. Effect. Okay, mosaic. There we go. I'm going to go to mosaic, and then I'm going to increase the tile size. And the bigger I make the tile size, the fewer colors it's going to drop those pixels into. But like, even at this point, it gives me a lot of pixels to be able to pick from for basic colors to be able to get something that's cool out of that image. And this works really great if like you have an artist that you really love the way they do their colors, like say Frank Frazetta or something, or
right.
Boris Vallejo. Like, you really like the way he does his paintings. You could pull in one that you really like and then use mosaic or something like it to drop it down to just a handful of colors. And then you can use those as colors to jump off from, to know like, okay, this is the basic green that he was using for those mountains, and this is the basic skin tone that he was working with. And then you can go from there and darken and lighten and do whatever you want. But if you want to get the basic vibe for what's going on in that painting, the larger I make those tiles, the more it drops it down to just a handful of colors to pick from. And that has come in really handy for me a lot of times. So that works for me. I hope it works for you. Just your tip of the day there, because I thought of it. And I think you guys are special, and I wanted to share a little bit of brilliance with you. So anyway, let's go back to checking out Esteban's work here.
So for me, I don't know where, or I don't know how it's like registering mine. Caught up or not, but yeah. So I decided to kind of stick with, I guess, this color palette where it has like a few, I guess, like clay colors, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Very earth tones, yeah.
Very earth tone. So I guess you could say he's more like an earthbender. I actually was trying to go off the notion of him like trying to potentially use, and I got a black screen on my side. There we go. And it's, come on, buddy. Can we register? Can we show it off, please? I like the design. Making this off the rip was something, I will admit.
I do love the rope belt. It came out really nice.
Yes, I guess this is just something simple, but what's it called? If it ever decides to show, or if I think, let me just do a quick on and off IT method here again, because we love the on and off IT method. It's great. It's fantabulous. We love it here.
We can do that.
I
can show off my guy for a minute here.
Yes,
hey, if anybody has any ideas for a name, lay it on me, because I've thought of like Stone Step or something. That doesn't really, I don't care for that. But we've got this thief, and for like the dark and brooding look, like I sunk his eyes back in shadow below the headset and the and his hair. I got his collar popped up and put him in like a cape-like cloak and stuff to try and give him that kind of brooding noir kind of feel. and he's basically in regular like street clothes, so he doesn't stand out, except for the stone boots and gauntlets and headpiece. And then under here on his belts, he has daggers and pouches and things to have potions and doodads and places to put all of his stolen gear that he takes. But his simple, plain looking stone boots and gauntlets let him phase through rock and control earth, and move stones, open doorways, create portals through rock and earth, but more importantly lets him phase through it and come out the other side unharmed, and could potentially grab somebody and pull them in if you wanted to. Oh,
Right.
there we go, man. Look at that. Oh, I love the feet, dude. That's epic.
So for me, my idea of where I wanted to go with it was, I guess, tribalistic. Because when I think fantasy, I think like tribalistic fantasy. So again, kind of somewhat Aztec and like potentially some aspects of like Hindu or India with especially the beads type situation.
Hmm.
I guess in a weird way, unironically, I also went to hello. Hold up. Stuff happened on my side. I don't know if you all heard that.
Oh yeah, we heard it.
No, you just gotta love how things just like to not function with me today. You just gotta love it. Anyways, is it a black screen for y'all, or am I just going crazy?
Yeah, it's a black screen again.
Oh, Joy, come on, devices.
Is
I
it
know
just
not
getting
that-
too hot? Is that what it is?
It's most likely the case. It's probably getting too heated over here. It's probably like I'm trying to get the AC over here to
Hmm.
tap into that right now, but I don't get as to why this is happening. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Don't you just love it?
Don't have it here handy. I tell you what I got for my tablet that I was using before my laptop, and then I instantly got one for my laptop to put on it too, is this magnetic fan that clips to the back of it. It comes like a stick-on plate that I put on the back of my tablet right over where the processor is, and then I can clip this fan on there that plugs in, and it just drops the temperature on that tablet super quick. Ooh, stone carver. Oh, I like that. I like that, Brad Arney. Brad's my buddy. Brad's a longtime supporter. Brad's got what, 60,000 comics in your collection? Was it? He's got a crazy collection and backs so many indie comics. It's crazy. I guarantee you he ain't read half of my books because he buys too many books to have time to read them all. Ain't hurting my feelings a bit. I appreciate the support, but
All right.
great Scott, this is heavy.
Great Scott.
What is it with saying heavy? Is something wrong with the Earth's gravity in the future?
There's
Why
that
do you
word.
keep
Oh my gosh. This is getting annoying. Can I open this thing that's actually allowing me to stream my crap right now? Oh, I tell you, everything wants to just go against me as of this moment.
Okay, well, it's all right. It's okay. I mean, it's been working hard for almost 2 hours now, which is
That
pretty
is-
impressive for any device at this point.
That is so true.
Especially
I mean, maybe
something you can carry around in your hand. That is
that
awesome.
is also
I'm proud of it.
so. Thank you. And I mean, if there's one other thing that I would add on to it, would probably be like tribalistic tattoos, just to like show off, like maybe it's like to show off the idea of a family lineage concept. Maybe I could just kind of put together some random little thing. I'll probably get some like a little random text in there. Maybe. Just hold up. Okay. Can we just please open? If not, then I'm going to be sad.
Everybody out there in the audience, hold your breath and cross your fingers and just
Jeez.
say the magic word. Lucky chicken bone. Lucky chicken bone.
Lucky chicken bone indeed. What's it called? Nope. Gotta be kidding me. The entire screen. Nope. No, we just like that. I'm gonna literally wreck my computer up right now if I don't. You know what? If anything, I'll send this to you. I'll send my finished
It'll be
results.
fine.
If anything, I was gonna share.
It'll be
like,
fine because you can post yours and I'm going to be posting mine. I recorded the time lapse. God, I hope I recorded the time lapse. Let's
Another
double
fun
check
thing-
because I think I said it.
Yeah, I was gonna say the best part about Procreate as well is that it has a built-in time lapse thing.
Oh,
if you
yes.
So that's actually one of the best parts about it. That's actually what that's like the majority of my content is like I have already drawn it. So thankfully the time lapse is there, and then we're all good to go showing that off.
Yeah, I with Clip Studio, that is one thing. It is a whole separate thing you have to remember to turn on, and then it makes for larger file sizes. When I'm doing one drawing like this, the file size isn't that much bigger. When I'm doing an entire page that may have had a lot of erasing and redoing and stuff, those files sometimes can get to be a couple of gigs for one page every once in a while. Like they've gotten really freaking big really quick.
I can
And
almost imagine.
it can be a bit of a problem. Let's see. Little Brad Arnie says, "I read 5 a night. I've read everything you've put out and will never divulge what I have." I haven't been able to live down that proclamation. I don't doubt it. Well, you can't just whip out and say something so impressive and not have people remember it. Like it happens.
Yeah. Also, I
Uh,
sent you the picture of what my character looks like, so maybe you could probably put it on your screen.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Where'd you send it to me? Discord or?
Yes, your Discord.
Okay, let me pull up Discord. No, I don't want to switch. I don't at all. That's not what I want to do. Okay, hold on a second. Let me copy image, and I will open it here, and then we can really zoom in on it. All right, there we go, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, theys and thems. Here we go. I love the mask. I mean, because it gives Aztec warrior vibes. It gives armor vibes, but it also gives like luchador vibes. And I
Yeah.
freaking love that combination. Is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The teeth, freaking gorgeous, man.
And then not only that, like incorporating like a hood or a cape. So like if I ever like draw, or who knows, maybe
Oh, you
I'll
pull
probably.
that up, he looks like a straight up monster, dude.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
like that brings the Batman factor into this. Like, and
mhm.
imagine this character in some other fantasy setting, and he's like the vigilante kind of person, and this was like a secret lineage. Again, I'm kind of making this up on the spot, but it's like, imagine if there are anyone out there would like to suggest a name for my kind of character. But if I had to come up with something here, I'd probably call him like the I don't know, the Clay Beast or something. I don't know, probably not the best one. It's just
It may not be what you thought, but I'm thinking honestly, like the claws on the knuckles and the toes, I'm thinking shark teeth. Like that would be such a neat thing to add in here, like with that whole like those big clubs with the shark teeth in them and stuff. Like that
yeah.
would be a neat vibe to add in to keep that that theme going. Uh,
Or
just a
kind of
thought.
like, or maybe he's like, what if this character, again, just kind of spitballing, shooting words out
Hmm.
in the void of silence. What if this character was actually like, again, like say in the like in an avatar kind of sense, what if he's essentially like one training to start using other elements, right? Which is susceptible, which again screws up with his mind. So he has to be the one to wear a mask that's like atoning to keeping his powers focused. And there are other tribes that have to like work along, and maybe there are different tribes. There's a water tribe, a fire tribe, an earth tribe, and then of course there may be some smaller subsections of those, you know?
Okay, you may not have noticed I had an idea while we were talking. I know I kept my reaction subtle, as I do.
As a
Close to the
professional,
vest.
guys.
That's what they call me on the street. Close to the vest fishing. Um, I had an idea thinking of this as we were working on this idea of almost like a series of like magical masked luchador were beings kind of things where they would get these enchanted masks that they would put on and they train and they fight with each other and and there's like this Aztec training ground for the most elite fighters. And if you make it to the top, then you get to like pick your spirit mask and be trained in that. And then you have to go through all these other levels and compete against each other to be the best. But the more you bond with this mask and like your spirit animal, like when you pull up that hood and you're the cape and you're like in the dark in here, you suddenly can transform into this like were version of like Shark Tooth, who becomes this shark man, and like grows into this big being. And, suddenly the jaws aren't just on the mask, but they become his actual jaws. And, and the wolf suddenly becomes a werewolf. And, the panther suddenly, burst out. That could be so freaking epic, dude. All of y'all quit watching. This is not y'all's idea, okay? We came up with this. Y'all turn the freaking YouTube off. Mind your business. Quit watching.
But honestly,
that could be
it's like,
so freaking epic.
Or maybe in this case, like maybe adding on to that, what if this character over here is actually like the avatar to be, and he has to master all 4 elements. And in the process of doing so, he's like the only one to unlock like the 4 proper spirit animals, like unlocking a bird type totem that allows him the ability to fly and to control the winds. And again, kind of like with the shark teeth, actually being able to swim and course through the water, using the water to his whim. Try and like maybe in a different case. And I mean, again, the mask is also kind of like unique in a strange shape. Again, I just kind of made it up as is, but the shape of the mask can almost be universal to different animals. The teeth like representative of a shark, the nose
Could
representative of
change
a bee.
with what? Okay, now hear me out. All right, hear me now and believe me later. What if like we got the whole training thing, we've got all of the guys fighting, we've got all of the guys training and all of the different disciplines, like training in the water tribe and the fire tribe, which is like all these different like animal groups and stuff and elemental power sources and things. And then there's this one dude, who just barely made it into the elite class. Like he's the run of the group, he's the run of the class, and they've tried him out in like every tribe, and he gets just a little bit of it, but he can't get the whole thing. Like he can't excel to a full-on fire bear, and he can't become like the full-on ice orca or any of the other like subsets that are in this. But then they realize, or he realizes at some point, that it opens up that he's the one guy that can do it all, where nobody else can access all of the different elemental sources. He's the dude with the mundane mask that doesn't quite fit any one tribe. He's the guy that couldn't quite master any one thing, but he masters enough of everything that he can become the fire orca and the ice bear, and he can do all of these things, become all of them, where you just can become the shark dude and I'm just the rock gorilla, but he can be anything. I'm telling you, man, right there, hand it off to,
That's Nickelodeon making a new Avatar franchise. Let's get, that is so cool.
This is the next Pokemon right here, man. You got to catch them all. You got to have the stone gorilla. You got to have the fire orca, like, man,
you gotta have all the different kinds of masks as well. Some attuned to creatures of the night.
Dude. The merchandising alone, in masks and gear and
costumes and everything.
Cool.
I want this now.
I'm glad Fiance thought of this. That's all I got to say. I'm glad she was there to inspire.
Drop some hand clap emojis. Drop some applause in the chat. For my fiance, who has been such an amazing and extremely integral part. Without you and without the color coordination of us wearing blue, we wouldn't be in this situation today.
Oh, no. The show was absolute garbage juice before she showed up. It was nothing but a tire fire. And all of a sudden, it takes off like wildfire. You gotta love Fiance. That's why she's my favorite part of the show. Endorsed by your Uncle Fish 100%.
I very much am inclined to agree with such an amazing statement as that. So, I mean, thank you. The love of my life. The women that I am going to eventually turn into a full-blown mother and, stuff. But we'll get to that part eventually.
The woman whose figure I will one day ruin.
Nah, don't tell her that.
The bearer of my 40 children. Yes. Anyway.
I plan on having 50, but that's a different story for a different day. Anyways, but yeah, other than that, though, I love the just going after all that, going straight to the design process.
Good times. Good times.
Good times. This is why I feel like we need to call this segment of the show something entirely different other than School of Fish. You know, I feel like calling it like, you know, Uncle Time, Tio Time, or something like that would make this more hysterical.
Tio
The
time. That's not bad. That's not bad. I can roll with that.
The terrific two Tios. Duo Tio Time. I don't know. You know me, I'm trying to come up with some fun little gimmicky little names and whatnot. But other than that, though, but going back to the character design, so very much an Aztec inspiration. Love the fantasy aesthetic overall, and diving into, and not only that, but just imagine, I was full blown considering like the idea of an actual like having this character being placed in a world with guys who wear spandex and tights, but instead. Just from this session alone, talking about this character here, we're already thinking about an entirely vast new universe, like an entirely different, you know, world. And this kind of ties into
such an epic
talking about. Like,
it would make such an epic manga,
right? But think about it. This is exactly what we were just talking about. We were talking about world building and campaign setups and whatnot.
How it builds off of things, how it builds off of each other. One idea builds off of another. And that's the other cool thing about having a creative collaboration. When you're working with other creative people, instead of just being in your own mind by yourself, then you can spur ideas off of each other. Like the thought, as soon as he thought about pulling that hood up and how scary he would look in that, my mind went freaking nuts. And it just,
but I mean, again, this is just my character alone. I mean, just imagine your character and the amount of like situations that he will go through. I mean, if you were to pull him up right here, imagine different three elements that go from this. So we're just off of this alone. This is already a fantasy Aztec story, but this one over here, you can see this as a more like roguish, in a typical like, you know, like more European fantasy in a strange way.
Much slicker. I wanted to keep him as mild mannered looking, like as looking like an aristocrat or something, you know, other than the stone gauntlets. You know, he could look like any rich man walking along or something, and then just poof through the walls of the vault, and you know, and he's in the other room loading up his pockets, and then poof, he's back through the wall again, you know, walking out among, you know, just disappearing into the crowd.
Okay, okay. Let me toss an idea out there for this character as well. What if he was able to, so say that he wasn't just bound by one element. Let's just say he does all four. Imagine the different gauntlets he could obtain, right? Ones made from stone, or maybe some made from hot rocks that can turn into fire. Maybe some that might have a sand-infused edge to it that would give it a water kind of vibe. So he would actually be attuned to different forms of nature. You know, for the forest, it would be made of wood. For, you know, the sea, it would be like sand and water. Being able to control that kind of situation, it would actually, you know, switch his mindset to being like,
or other characters that could have those. Like all of a sudden, I'm envisioning some cute little like manic pixie chaos goblin chick that has like these lava bracers, you know, that he's trying to be all slick and subtle, working his way in, and just like phases through the walls of the king's vault during a big party, you know, that he showed up to as one of the aristocrats, and he's conning his way in and being all slick. And then here she just comes barreling through the wall like a tank, blasting lava everywhere, drawing all the guards' attention. And now he's standing in there with his hands full of gold, and this chaos chick in there with the lava gauntlets. And he's like, "You've just ruined everything," as the guards come piling in. And, you know, and it could be so cool, especially like the overlap. Like, you know, like we both deal with earth, we both deal with stone. We've got a lot of things that we can do that are similar, but she can go in other directions towards fire, and I can go in these other directions, and she can't do some of what I can do, and I can't do some of what she can do. And then you got the dude that shows up with the ice gauntlets, and, you know, and he can do this and that neither one of us can do. And like, it could be really freaking neat. It could be really cool. Oh, what if like one of the king's guards has the ice gauntlets and suddenly is busting in, raining on their parade, and when he was gonna make it in and out with no problem.
Or you can even anyway, love you too, honey. But what if there were other people that happen to have different gauntlets? Like, what if there were some that just had gauntlets? What if there were those that just had boots? Or kind of like how. But then you see the possibilities, because then this could actually create a whole difference. Again, just one character is able to create an entirely new setting, an entirely new like region
like
of the
how
world.
different would your powers be and your attacks and like your whole strategy be if you only had ice boots or if you only had ice gauntlets? Like you would go about things completely differently. Or if you just had lava boots as opposed to the gauntlets. Oh, that's
But
brilliant.
see how like that could actually influence a lot of things. It challenges the kind of creativity. I actually remembered I made a whole like different like, and again to kind of adding into the concept of a tabletop RPG, I actually remember creating my very own like completely separate, not even close to humans and elves fantasy world. It's basically like aliens, and there's different alien people. You know, uh there are these like big red looking kind of people. They're actually some of the aliens from my book of the very first rendition of the Unbeatables. What's it called? There was one character that I ended up doing in the second book, which is called Bruiser, and he was essentially one of those aliens in this fantasy world. But I remember I drew one as a distinguished captain, one as a rough and tough pirate kind of guy. You know, I drew one that was like a warrior of the sea and stuff like that. And then there was this like cute, tiny little turtle looking thing, and I drew one as like a little traveler, one that was like a super crazy mage and whatnot, you know. And there was like these other kind of people. And again, that was like an entirely different world, but it actually like had a very distinguished kind of vibe. But to think, so far we created just two different characters, and we thought of two expansive universes. From a tribalistic, mask-wearing society to gauntlets and boots, and how you can do espionage or just be full-blown chaotic with it. Again, that is the joy and wonder of creating characters. And to think, literally, nothing but this.
Oh, yeah.
The dice in our hands and our imaginations took off and basically created an entirely new world. That is the joy and awe and wonder of just creativity at its finest. And to think that was using just a series of just small ideas that we used in this video alone. And imagine what we're going to be doing when we have Mr. Fish's list up and on the go, right? Imagine the characters we're about to do with those, and then other type of situations that we're going to be diving into.
Oh, and like I can't wait to see what Dadpool created. Like I want to see the character that he rolled up. And that's the cool thing, because you made it such an easy thing to see on the slides that anybody that watches the show can roll up their own character off of that. And that's freaking cool. That's awesome. And I applaud that. I'm absolutely going to redo mine from a spreadsheet roll up to that, because that was so much easier for people to follow along with and do as well. Way easier. I'm absolutely doing that. Brilliant. Can't wait to do that. Thank you everybody that's been rocking with us in the comments. Thank you to everybody that's been hanging out and watching us draw and come up with these crazy cool characters. Like my stone dude here that I created off of the prompt, and Esteban's monk dude here. I just love it. The rope belt is cool. I did not think I would like the rope belt as much. I was thinking Jethro in my head when you said it, but that is so freaking cool. It came out so nice.
Now if anything, I got to make an entire video, like as it is, like the first characters that we showed off, with Feast and Radiant Knight. Like I'm gonna make an entire video off of like that character as it is. I already have the video prepped up and whatnot, but now I got to just do an entire fun like video of me just like drawing the comic cover and giving a story for whatever this character's name is going to be, which I got to figure out at some point, because that's such a good name, or it's such a good character in a world in itself. And also it helps me die. And not only that, but to think about it, we just conjured up an entire like fantasy world. To think this wasn't like a world full of superheroes that are in guys in tights, but we created fantasy. And for me, I actually always wanted to touch on other topics, but I'm probably going to be repeating a lot of the same things and all that other kind of crazy nonsense, because I have a tendency to repeat myself a lot, but in different ways, again, to fill the void of silence.
Yeah, I do too. I try and cut down on it, but I catch myself repeating. So
hey, listen, we yap and we're good at that. So
yeah, and it's been 2 hours of us yapping. So
that is very true. But I think we should ask, like, so if anyone who's been joining along on the journey of creating a character thus far, using the prompts, rolling the dice and doing all that fun stuff, and you want to tag us in it, Mr. Fish, which socials would you like for them to kind of tag it in so we can get some visuals?
I am Mr. Fish Comics everywhere on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, you name it, YouTube. I'm Mr. Fish Comics on everything. Also, MrFishComics.com. If you want to go check out my comics and purchase them or something, they're also available on the TikTok shop. Or you can go to GoMrFish.com, which will always take you to the latest project that I'm working on right now, which is Alice Lost in Wonderland issues 1 through 3, available now on Kickstarter, live until August 29th. It'll be ending on our 5-Star Fridays podcast, Friday nights on the Agents of Geekdom Network. So check it out. Come hang out with us that Friday and watch us close out the campaign. Hopefully, it'll be wildly successful and we'll be way beyond goal and unlock all kinds of stretch goals. But I'll be all right if we just hit goal at this point.
Yeah. And if you want to tag me into anything, you guys can tag me over at Ultra Comics. It's going to be U1TRA_COMICS. That's my Instagram. And of course, you guys can find me over on my TikTok, which if I pull up really quick and silence everything so I don't end up getting a loud thing, is going to be also Ultra Comics. But if you need like the proper @ it's going to be at 1ULTRA_COMIC. That's basically my main account. That's my TikTok account. I'm primarily there more than I am on Instagram. And of course, if you guys want to follow along and enjoy content from my side of things, you guys can obviously go check out my channel, my YouTube channel, which should be linked into this.
It is linked in the description. The correct one is linked in the description this time.
The correct one, the one that's now properly eligible for all the fun stuff to happen. And not only that, but again, you guys should go follow Mr. Fish. Go find his stuff. Go buy his books because he takes time, dedication. Even though he's the fastest pen in indie comics, he's giving you quantity and quality all at the same time, which, trust me, nowadays is exactly what we want. We want a lot of something good, and he can provide such things as that. But if you guys want to join me on the journey of creating an entire public domain universe of like Marvel, DC, and or getting into creating newer fantasy fun stuff, pop on over to my channel. I would love to see y'all there. But other than that, I think that's more or less going to be the end of our whole segment here then.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. So thank you, everybody, for coming and hanging out with us. Thank you for checking out GoMrFish.com. Tag us in those images that you rolled up with this. Let us know what you think. If you have cool character ideas or superpowers, drop them in the comments.
Please.
And Esteban, what is it you always say when you close out?
Well, to my fellow weirdos out there, make sure to follow these 3 simple rules to stay awesome, stay weird, and to keep life to the easiest. And always remember that art inspires all, but you can inspire more.